Hello, and welcome to our continuing devotional through the book of Colossians. We're currently at Colossians chapter 1, and we're going to look today, or at least begin to look at today, at verses 18 and 19. We may not finish these two verses. If not, we will continue them in our next devotional. But here's what verses 18 and 19 say. And he, Jesus, is the head of the body, the church. He's the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in everything he might be preeminent. For in him all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell. So these two verses continue to emphasize the supremacy of Jesus as the previous three verses before these did. But now there is a switch here, though. Now the emphasis is in Jesus' supremacy in the church. That's why it goes on to say he is the head of the body, the church. I think that phrase, Jesus is the head, Jesus is the authority, Jesus is the one in charge. That's what head means, means headship, to be in charge. That phrase should be prominently displayed at all these church gatherings we've seen over the last few years, where different delegates and groups and leaders from different churches gather together, and these governing bodies of all these congregations, whatever they may be, these denominations, and where they're deciding whether they should follow God's word or not. And you got a group of people voting on things like sexuality and homosexuality and other religions and abortion and salvation and whether we should accept the Bible's true. And you got these group of fallible men, fleshly people, making decisions about the church when they are not the ones in charge of the church. He is the head of the body, the church. And I think every pastor, every priest, every deacon, every elder, every representative, every leader in any denomination would do well to take hold and remember this verse. Jesus is the head of the body, the church. He rules his church. No pastor, no pope, no prophet, no organization, no group of delegates. Could you imagine me making decisions on who to hire, who to fire, or how to run the team, or what plays to call for the Miami Dolphins? Well, they would find that laughable because I'm not in charge. I'm not the owner. I'm not the coach. I don't have that right to do that. And yet people do that same thing for the church, and they act like they have the right to make that decision. It's not their decision. He is the head of the body. It goes on to say in that same verse 18, that he is the beginning. And here the word beginning means the author or the creator, the founder. And he's talking about the church. Not only is he the beginner of creation, which we saw in verses 16 and 17, but he's also the beginner of the new creation. See, the church, we may think of the church as kind of the local building where we gather to meet for worship and fellowship. But the Bible speaks of the church as a new creation. It's a new humanity. That a new complete world eventually that will be created. But the very basis of this new creation is the church. So he's not only Lord over the old creation, the material creation as we think of it, but the new creation, which is called the church. And because he's the creator of it, because he's the ruler of it, because he's the owner and the author or the beginner of it, it's his. He can do with it as he chooses. We don't get to have that option. If I create a work of art, if I make a painting, I can change the colors if I want to. I can rework the whole thing if I want to. I can throw it away, or I can display it in a prominent place in my house. It is my creation. I made it. I'm the beginner of it. I'm the author of it. I'm the founder of it. Well, Jesus is the author, the founder, the beginner, the Lord over the new creation, the church, and he has the right to direct it as he chooses. And our job is to submit and surrender to his will. Now, we've only covered a part of these verses. In our next devotional, we'll begin with the phrase, the firstborn from the dead. And what does that mean? But I hope you'll consider these things and remember, nobody else is in charge of the church except Jesus. He died for it. He owns it. He purchased it. It's his bride, and he's the creator and the founder of it. Have a blessed day.